Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm Leah. I'm a collage artist. Today we're getting into a very fun project. I have a large show coming up that has a lot of collectors coming for larger pieces, but I know that I also have a lot of people in the lower budget range coming. How I've decided to tackle this is making a ton of smaller pieces. Although my goal was to go big this year, having larger art means that you have a smaller percentage of selling these larger pieces since they're at a higher price range. And since this event is going to cost me an arm and a leg, I wanted to make sure that I made my money back. How I'm planning to do that is with these small postcards. As I showed in my last vlog, I bought 100 shades of Pantone. These are 100 4x6 Pantone cards. So let's head over to the studio and start making some new pieces. So I have a lot of negatives I want to work with here, and I also have pieces like this one where it's too small that I've never sold it, but I think that they would be perfect on a card like this or something. That. It's pretty perfect, you know, and it covers all the holes that I was seeing before. So something like that would be really interesting. I have ones I've been working on. I think this needs a little something, but again, it would almost perfectly work in there where I could cut this. And that would be a piece right there. I also love these negatives. I think that they would be really cool to have as like a person jumping like that. The majority of them are going to be a mix and match of negative and of real collage pieces, because I do have a lot of negative pieces right now that I wanted to work with. Even this one I think is pretty cool. And I have so many colors, so I feel like it'll be really fun to play around with what that looks like. I don't know if this is too easy right off the block, but I really do actually like these colors together. I'd originally put a yellow background on this piece, so I kind of think it works. I think I could cut a little bit of this just to center it a little bit more. The last one basically wrote itself. It was perfect, it worked out. The next one, I'm thinking it would be like petite 4. I like this Pantone 635. I think that it would be perfect with this. I've really been thinking about this one and how that might look. Maybe this gets cut out. I like the little number. I think for this one, something perfect would be like a steering wheel or tire or something. So I'm gonna look for that, but maybe I'll put this to the side while I look for it and make another one. The next piece that's jumping at me is this one. It's the guy that was bent over for the hose with the golf clubs in the life piece that I did for Collage. So I wonder if this would look good on like a different color that kind of popped it a little bit more. I don't know if that's pink, maybe pink. It's brown here. No, I think the pink is closer to what I want. A nice green could be nice. I think if I go with this one, I definitely need like some sort of pink element to keep it all together. But with this one, I really like it. So maybe we do pink. I have this little piece and I feel like this could be interesting here. I feel like this is giving like a voyeur with a woman's hand here. It just feels a little bit more mysterious and interesting. So I like this enough to glue it. I think it's really interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting some of this stuff out. Go cut here, and then I want this to sit like right in between these 2 points. Okay, so there's the first fully new one done. I think this is so cute, and I don't know, I think that these are kind of going to be really special. Making collages like this really shows that anything can be turned into art. These tiny little scraps or things that I haven't been able to use in other pieces are now being reused in ways that I could never imagine. In the past, these pieces went straight to the garbage, and it wasn't until one day last year where I was making a piece and I looked at the scrap pile and just thought it looked so beautiful. I was instantly curious to see what I could make with these pieces, and it ended up being a piece that I brought to a show in July and sold. It was like an amazing reassurance that this was definitely something I should be working with. When working with negatives, it's just a lot of trial and error. I also rely very heavily on my color theory and layout skills. It's really hard to explain the process. Like watching this one, why did I put the head in the corner, for example? And then why did I think that I needed to have something behind the shadow of the person? I'm not sure, but it definitely works. And you can see me here like cutting up little pieces even, and I don't know why the big one didn't work. The small ones are definitely working. It's just such a trial and error type of art, and I love doing it. A lot of it too relies on what's around you. That's why you saw me at the beginning laying out all these pieces. It gives me a better shot at making a piece all at once. When I'm stumped, I try to find colors that are alike, like this background is green and these trees have a green feel. And then I try to find something that has a darker contrast, like these grays and greens. You could see me in this video also trying to figure out if the purples could work here, which I definitely think that that color could work into this palette, but for the spatialness of this piece, I don't think it works. When doing this type of collaging, I just really like to say, try anything. Here you can see I'm trying a whole bunch of different pieces all at once, and I just am coming up with random things on the go. This, for example, I'd cut out a lot of these lines for other pieces, and when I looked over and saw the pot, I just knew that they could possibly fit into it. Some of them work because of the ideas behind them, and some of them work because of the color palette and layout, so it's just really trial and error. I really think I can get this one done, so I'm gonna try again, and I found this photo. I think taking the steering wheel out of it and putting it on this will be good. As I'm creating these pieces, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of just having fun with art. This topic came to mind because, well, I'm having so much fun with this series. I just find it's the perfect way to let loose. I had so much fun making them. I didn't have to think too hard, and it definitely challenged my skills of doing different layouts that I'm used to, working with color. For these pieces, I rely heavily on intuition and just trusting the process. And sometimes the process isn't going to be perfect the first time. So for example, a few of these I definitely tried to do, like this one I'm making right now. I didn't end up finishing in this setting, but I know that I will eventually get back to it the next time I do it. Maybe I didn't have the right pieces laid out on the table. Maybe I didn't have the right feeling for what it was going to look like. Maybe I didn't cut the piece correctly the way it should be so that it'll work. There was just something about it where I just knew that it wasn't really gonna work out, but I had a really big urge to at least try with it. And I think that that's really important, is just giving it a shot. As artists, or should I say perfectionist artists, it's extremely important to let loose sometimes, because this is where true innovation and discovery happens in any art style. Doing this Pantone challenge almost feels like the equivalent of a painter's sketchbook. I'm able to experiment with different color palettes, different looks. My pieces generally have a white background or a color photo background, but rarely do they ever have a solid colored background. So this is definitely somewhere where I'm trying something new. After using up these Pantone colors, am I going to try to use more color in my pieces? Yeah, maybe. I really like color, and when I do painting, I'm a very, very colorful painter. So it's kind of funny to me that my collage style has been more muted, but I mean, that kind of goes with the style of vintage papers, right? This project for me also really highlighted the importance of returning to old projects. I had created this tiny little collage maybe last year, maybe 2 years ago, and I always loved it, but I just never came back to it. Wasn't really sure where to use it. But here we are repurposing it and even adding to it. We're remixing our own piece, so to speak. And I think that that's really important as artists, is to come back and look at what we've done in the past. A great challenge is to return to an old piece that you've abandoned and try to make it work. For me, on days where I'm a little bit stumped with a blank page in front of me, I find that this is a great way to get started. As collage artists, something that I haven't really heard anyone else talk about is that we need to have a very strong sense of problem solving. Collage is taking something that doesn't belong together and mashing it together and making people believe that they do work together really well. We must be adaptive and open to new ideas at all times. Maybe something we thought was the best option will end up not being the best option when we find something even better. At this point, we have 7 of the first ones, and I'm super happy with the direction they're going. I'm definitely not really paying attention to the different colors that I'm using to create variety. I'm just kind of going with my gut and going with the flow of everything and seeing what appeals to me at that exact moment. This blue was just calling to me. I really loved the color. And if you've watched my previous video, you can see this yellow piece is from the junk journal extra piece that I was doing for that day. And the red is a back of another piece of paper that just had this beautiful texture to it. Working with the Pantone Postcards was kind of interesting as well, because usually I work foreground to background, and in this case I had to work background to foreground. You can see me struggling a bit here to find or figure out what the subject matter at the very front would be. It definitely took a lot longer to figure out what was missing in this piece for my brain, but I ended up coming up with something that I think works. If you're enjoying this video, I would love if you gave it a like or a comment. I kind of just like to talk about whatever on these voiceovers, but if you have any interesting topics that you think that I could cover or any questions, please leave them down below. I would love to get to them, and it would just be really nice to hear from you guys. A lot of these are just stream of consciousness or ideas that I've picked up over the week that I've been thinking about a lot. I tend to have different topics that I repeatedly think about throughout the week, and then I'll just go through and add them to the video. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear from you. I loved where this piece was starting, but I quickly realized that there was way too much on the page. So instead of starting from scratch, I just pulled back things that I didn't think would work. I knew what was working was I loved this blue with the orange, and the red was just really nice, and the cocktail was kind of interesting too. So I kept those in place here and then slowly added new things and just tried to see what would work and what might not work. I found this teensy tiny scrap that said private party on it, and it just kind of brought the whole piece together. It's so funny how something so small can make a big difference. A week back, I made 10 of the first pieces, and I love them. I think they're so consistent with one another, and they have a really great look and feel. All of these are very unique, but I could picture people buying them in 2 or 3 to have like a small collection at home. In my last studio, I had a desk that was made of wood, and I kind of came up with a funny idea of how to reuse it. Originally, I thought maybe it could be one gigantic piece, but the wood is so thick and heavy that I can't imagine any wall being able to support it. So I came up with a better idea, which was to cut it into 4x6 pieces. Here's a first look at the wood pieces. I haven't counted how many wood pieces we have yet, but I'm hoping that there will be at least 30. Because it was a desk, I actually sealed it first, so it has this lovely satin finish to it, and I love the grain of this board. I purposely picked this exact piece because I loved the different patterns within it. So here are the boxes full of wood. So on this side we have the 4x6s. So one side is done with the lovely coating that I did for the original desk, and then the back is just the original wood, basically. And this box has more of them as well. But at the very end, these ones weren't able to get cut down to the same size, so now I have some larger ones, and I'm kind of excited for this as well. I believe this is 6x6. Yeah, so like just short of 6x6. Thinking of this size could be like $100, and then these ones could be like a $150 or something like that. And they're just like a little treat to bring home. I think they're so cute, but I don't know how many there are as of now. So let's count them and get these out of the boxes. Because of all the other projects and me only having one desk right now, I think that I'm going to put them on my bookshelf in front of my books because I don't know what else to do with them for now. And then once I'm ready to sand them all and that sort of thing, I can bring them back outside, but I just don't have spaces for the boxes in the studio right now. It looks pretty funny, but I think that that's kind of awesome that they all like just fit. I think that this gives it a little bit more value versus just selling pieces of paper that are small. Like I could picture me just like tacking them up and selling them that way, or finding little frames. But I like the industrialness of this, and it's going to go with the larger piece that I'm doing on the wood panel. The idea is to take the wood and then put the picture on top of it like this. They came out slightly larger than I expected it to, but I kind of like having a little wood border, and the sides are so interesting. Like I think some people were saying to paint them, but I actually really like the texture. And then on the back, it's just flat. So I'm thinking what I will end up doing is just drilling a tiny hole in each of these, and then people can take them home, put a little nail in the wall, and then just like hook it onto it like that. My idea for this is to make a little template that I can just basically put over this and then drill into, because I want it to be very centered and make sure that they're all in the same spot. That way when I hang them up, they're the exact same height when I'm putting them on a grid on the wall, so that it's much easier for installation day, but also for people if they buy multiples. So now that we have our beautiful designs, it's time to poke the holes in the back of this. So my idea is to use a piece of cardboard and make a template for where to drill in. And then from there, my idea is that I'll cut this out to size and just have like the hole open. That way when I go in, I can just drill right into that and set up this for the exact measurements, basically. And from here, my idea is to get the middle of this and also decide how far down it is. I think 1 inch is good in my opinion. So let's just put a little mark here and then go across. This is 4 inches, so the hole will be right there. I was gonna use this hole punch for it, but I just realized that, yeah, it kind of stops the paper, so that's not gonna work. I'm gonna try to go in and just cut a really small hole around the hole that I made and make it as even as possible. I know it's not gonna be perfect. I think that that's good enough. Okay, why don't we go drill some holes? Sorry for the weird angle. We're going to be drilling these indoors just because I don't feel like going outside today. It's gross and rainy. So we're going to start with our template here, putting it over top, and then I have an extra piece here that I'm just gonna put under in case it goes through so I don't damage our beautiful table that my partner made. I'm going to be using a 3/16 drill bit. I'd love to tell you more, but I don't have a huge background in carpentry, and my DIYing is very hack, although I do intend to learn to do it better. Okay, so I've just taken off this one so I can try this nail. There's the hole. So that's kind of what I'm picturing. I stopped to think about these two. I think the patterns are really pretty, and maybe I should drill the holes in the back side, but maybe for now I'll just put them on my desk. If I make something, then I can drill the hole after, just because I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not, but I like them a lot. Our template worked, so I would definitely suggest doing something like this if you have any interest in ever doing something similar. We have that all figured out. I just need to do one thing and make sure I don't do it, is paste the pieces upside down, which is something I could totally see myself doing. Can I call myself a DIYer? I think so. Let's head back to the studio and jump into the next section. Next, we have to think about how we're going to attach the paper to the wood. I'm going to test a couple adhesives first with some other papers on this wood. Although something can be looking like it's attached properly right away, I find a lot of the time with these papers that you'll get little bubbles or holes, or pieces will come up that weren't there before. So I just want to make sure that they're going to last a lifetime. I think the one that's going to work the best is a spray adhesive. Why don't we try those out now? So I'm gonna do one on this one and one on this one. Sorry if you love medium purple and medium green, they are my least favorite colors for sure. So I'm going to use these as tests just because one of them probably won't work out. So the first one that we're going to do is this golden matte medium. And the second one is a spray adhesive. I've always found this one to be my favorite one. It's a preference thing. Right off the bat, the edges are coming up, so I'm going to flip this over and let it dry like this and hope nothing bad happens. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do it on top of some bubble wrap, but here is the next one. The can says I have to shake it for 3 to 4 minutes, or 2 to 3 minutes? 2 to 3 minutes, so I'm going to do that quickly. I'm just going to spray the wood, I think, and then place this on after, and then put it under the book with the other one. This says it takes 30 minutes to dry, and I think the other one, probably 30 minutes too, so maybe we'll come and check it later. So let's get doing this. Right off the bat, you can see this one is definitely more stuck than the other one, and this one still has like movement. You can see it's moving. So, I'm already leaning towards this option. It's obviously a little bit more toxic, and I can definitely see cat hairs getting in, but that's just what's gonna happen around here. All it takes is one little nosy animal. Okay, we are back for the reveal of the matte medium. At first look, the issue was kind of that it got stuck to the surface that I flattened it with. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this though. So now we have option 2, which is something kind of funny happened here. You can see there's like a pattern where it picked up on, I guess, the texture of the mat since I had turned it over onto it. So that's my fault for sure. I think that it didn't really need to get pressed down, but I was just worried that it would come up over time. So maybe it's a matter of, if I'm gonna go this method, I just have to find like stuff like this, for example, to hold it down. The sides are perfect. It does have a little bit of a stink to it still. I wonder if that'll go away, and it's slightly sticky on the wood still. This one ended up working out, but the edges were kind of crazy, so I would definitely have to have something pushing it down and making sure that none of this glue got stuck on it. And the green one would work as long as I had something right on top of it. I'm definitely feeling a little bit conflicted at this point, but I think that I'll leave them for another day or two and just test like the corner quality. I want to make sure that these are really stuck on there, and I definitely don't want it coming up if someone purchases these. After analyzing these two, obviously both of them worked and they've stayed on and everything looks fine. One that I am going to go with is the green one. You can see there's a bit of glue popping out here. We had this issue. I just feel like there's some more issues with it. But for this one, I think it's perfect. The only thing that I did wrong was flip it over. Here I'm just laying down some cardboard on the floor because I think this is the best place to do it. And I'm going to put out the blocks that we have and I'm going to put them face up. As we've seen, I have the first 10 done. So my idea is to spray these, spray, stick, just so that I make sure that it doesn't dry before that. Now, if you don't have 10 mini bottles conveniently hanging around, the perfect amount that I need, I would recommend using maybe soup cans or pencil holders, mugs. There's just so many other smaller things. I just want something that's going to keep the weight down so that you don't get any bubbles in the middle and you make sure that the edges stick down.
It feels weird doing this because it sounds like I'm baking, but it's chemicals.
Okay, let's let these guys dry for 30 minutes and then they should be good. Here's a first look at them. I think they look so good. I'm so excited. After the art show that these are for, I'll definitely be posting these on my website to have for sale. And if you're really keen on one of these pieces, just reach out to me via email and we can try to sort something out for you. As always, thank you so much for watching and make sure that you're subscribed at this time so that you can see other future amazing videos. I'll see you soon.